Welcome to the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene housing market update for September 2025. This video is for those of you that just want the facts about the housing market without any of the BS. By the end of this video, you'll know what you need to know about our local housing markets so that you can be an informed home buyer or home seller. It's that simple. My name is Phil Wells. I'm a real estate agent licensed in both Washington and Idaho, who for the last 6 years has been helping buyers, sellers, and investors. If you want to talk to me privately about anything, my details will be in the description to this video. In this video, we're going to start by looking at mortgage rates. We'll then take a deep dive into our local markets of Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. Before we get going, go and follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. You can interact with me there, and I post market updates and general real estate tips there as well. So go and give me a follow there. So let's get into it. Looking first at the behavior of the 30-year conventional mortgage over the last month. Obviously, mortgages and Federal Reserve policy are getting a lot of attention right now, so it is important to actually cut through the noise and see what's going on. At the start of August, mortgage rates were 6.63%. We then saw a little bit of a hump, a little bit of a plateau in terms of mortgage rates throughout August, before a significant drop to where they are today at 6.29%. Just out of curiosity, I went back in time on Mortgage News Daily just to see when mortgage rates were last this low, and well, it was October 2024. So things are definitely moving in a positive direction there in terms of mortgage rates. But what does the future hold for mortgage rates? The Federal Reserve is still holding its funds rate between 4.25 and 4.5%. At least for now, that is. There does seem to be a big shakeup on the horizon though. After months of pressure by the White House, and now the market itself beginning to conclude that rate cuts are necessary, we're beginning to believe that things will shift soon. Recent news highlights that mortgage rates are dipping on anticipation of rate cuts coming up in September's Federal Reserve meeting. This is driven in part by the recent poor jobs figures. JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are both predicting between 3 to 4.25% rate drops throughout the next year or so. So we are looking at the prospect there of around a 1% lower Fed funds rate. Now, federal funds rates and mortgages don't directly correlate. However, this is likely to have a downward impact on mortgage rates. Now it's time for a deep dive in our first of two local markets, that being Spokane. These are the latest figures that are available, but they detail figures from the last full month, that being August of course, and we are comparing things on a year-over-year basis. So August 25 versus August 24. Sales here are up a strong 4.3% last month, year on year. You expect to see summer post some strong results in terms of sales, and Spokane delivered this month, though it hasn't been consistently strong this year. Last month was pretty dismal in terms of sales actually. Median home prices in Spokane were $422,000 and are up 0.7% on a year-over-year basis. That's significantly below the rate of inflation, so in real terms, there's a drop there for Spokane home prices this month. New and active listings are both up substantially, and while it's positive to see the trend being towards more people listing than fewer, we do want to see that inventory actually being sold. Otherwise, a glut in inventory has the tendency to have a downward pressure on prices. And by the looks of recent median prices, maybe we've already reached the point where excess supply is starting to push down prices here. And you can see days on market of 24 days. So if your home's priced right, you'll likely have a contract in just over 3 weeks right now here in Spokane. It seems like a good time to be a buyer right now in Spokane. You have increasing inventory and softening home prices. So if you have the ability to buy a home right now, you should seriously consider it. Ask yourself this: how many people do you think are sat on the sidelines right now waiting for mortgage rates to have a 5 handle? It's probably a lot. Considering that mortgage rates have been high for nearly 3 years now, it's probably a lot of people sat on those sidelines. Buy now and you'll likely have limited competition, and you'll be able to renegotiate on things like inspection items. Wait until mortgage rates come back down, and that's not necessarily going to be the case. That being said, don't listen to the advice, date the rate, marry the house. Nobody knows how long mortgage rates are going to be high. Even if the Fed does cut its rates, it doesn't necessarily mean lower mortgage rates immediately. So do some analysis and do what makes financial sense for you right now. If you're a seller in this market, then know that you should have a contract in about 3 to 4 weeks if you're priced right. The trick is, of course, being priced right and doing everything to prepare the property for market. That means taking care of the obvious maintenance items that you know exist and being sensible about your pricing strategy. Pricing ahead of the market right now is not a good idea. That being said, even with the best pricing strategy and preparation in the world, cancelled contracts are quite common right now, as buyers are more and more unwilling to meet halfway on things like inspection findings. Now let's take a deep dive into the Coeur d'Alene housing market and see what's been going on there. Remember, the Coeur d'Alene MLS encompasses quite a lot of North Idaho. It's not just the city of Coeur d'Alene we're looking at here. And of course, these are the latest figures that are available for the last full month that we have data for, that being August, and we're comparing August 25 to August 24. Coeur d'Alene's actual sales in August moved up 5.5%, which is very positive news. As you can see, cumulatively for 25 versus 24, sales are ahead 3%. So a solid month posted here in Coeur d'Alene, and 2025 is shaping up to be a strong overall year in terms of sales. Looking now at absorption rates, also known as months of supply, we are currently at 6.3 months worth of supply. That's not what you want to see if you're a seller in this market. The more inventory there is, the higher the likelihood of your home being lost in a sea of inventory. Median home prices are up 3.68% to $549,500 on a year-over-year basis here in August. That's a solid move forward in terms of home prices, and shows that people still want to be in the Coeur d'Alene area and are willing to pay a premium for it. Days on market for Coeur d'Alene in August are 70 days, so approximately just over 2 months to get a contract here in Coeur d'Alene if you're a seller. That is a long time on market. You're going to have to wait to see if your home sells or not. So do yourself a favor and don't leave anything to chance. Buyers in this market should look at substantial inventory and 70 days on market as a sign that it might be a good time to buy a home. Buyers should understand, though, that despite those factors which might in other markets cause downward pressure on home prices, that doesn't seem to be happening here in Coeur d'Alene. So in short, you're likely to be able to buy the home that you want to buy without much competition, but you're unlikely to close feeling like you've got a really good deal. That being said, you can expect to renegotiate reasonable inspection items and maybe negotiate some closing costs along the way. Overall, it is a pretty pleasant market to be a buyer right now, if you can afford to buy in the Coeur d'Alene market. Sellers in this market should look at the same combination of factors, high inventory and 70 days on market, as a sign that selling their home is not going to be something passive and simple. It's going to be quite the undertaking in terms of preparation and strategy throughout the listing. Before you list, you absolutely should go through the property with a fine-toothed comb and pick out all those things that are going to negatively distract a potential buyer during their initial showing. You should also keep on top of things like cleaning, staging, and yard care throughout the listing. And above all, your pricing strategy must be on point. Listing at the top of the range and just seeing how it goes is not the strategy you want to pursue here in Coeur d'Alene if you actually want to sell. That's it for this video. I hope it was useful. If it was, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you are looking at buying or selling in either the Spokane or Coeur d'Alene market, please reach out to me. I'd be honored to talk to you and to work with you to achieve those goals. Like I said, my name is Phil Wells, and thank you for watching.